everyone. This is Gilbert Jalad. I'm talking to you here from Private Corporate Counsel downtown. This is Tufts On Tax, where all your tax questions and answers are right here with Mr. T. Scott Tufts, the master and the expert when it comes to taxes and tax law. Hello, Scott. How are you?
Hey, good to be with you.
Good to be with you, too. You can call Mr. T. Scott Tufts at 877-647-7887, or you can email him at stufts@pcc.law. That's stufts@pcc.law. So, Scott, today we're talking about, update on Corporate Transparency Act.
Yeah, so this is right around the corner. This is going to be hitting on January 1, 2024.
Okay.
So it's right around the corner. Folks are kind of getting wind of this over the past 6 months. We have an update on that. This is just to remind our audience, Corporate Transparency Act is this idea that there are going to be beneficial ownership information reports due for every company that is formed in the United States. So, and then it's also going to apply and grandfather in as to all existing companies. So if you form a new company on January 1, 2024 or thereafter, you have to file these BOI reports. And why this is significant is that in the international world, there are a lot of folks who will form companies in the United States, but they do not want their hands on it. In other words, they don't want to effectively submit to jurisdiction here, or they'll have a motivation tax-wise to stay out of the mix. And yet they are the movers and shakers. They're the ones who are really making decisions, and they'll come to U.S. lawyers and say, form me a company, and the U.S. company will not, in the public filings, identify the movers and shakers, as you were, these decision makers. There'll be no way for our U.S. authorities, tax authorities, or our government to know that. So this Corporate Transparency Act has got everyone's attention because there's an arm of the United States government called FinCEN. Okay, it's Treasury Department, not the IRS, but Treasury Department Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. It's called FinCEN. The way to think about this is the Swiss bank accounts, the foreign bank accounts that went through what we used to call FBAR forms. That's monitored by the FinCEN part of the Treasury. So Treasury, our Treasury Department, is not just the IRS. It is comprised of the FinCEN network. This is the network that's going to be tasked with monitoring these beneficial ownership reports, what we call BOI reports. And so what we are trying to do is make sure we've got the latest developments. And the latest developments are that came out near the end of November was that the BOI report deadline will go from 30 days to 90 days. So if you form a company in January 1, you'll have 90 days to get that BOI report in. And that BOI report will require you to name the names of the individuals who are beneficial owners. But it will be more than that. So the example to think about is, let's say you have a corporation. You form it on January 1, 2024. Let's say the corporation consists of 4 non-officer shareholders and 4 non-owning officers who are not shareholders. In other words, you got 4 shareholders who are not officers. You have 4 more, let's say, just by an example, who are officers but not shareholders. So you have 8, movers and shakers, right? That's my term. It's not a term in the law, but all 8 get named. So if you form a corporation, and let's just say you get a service to do it, registered agent is the attorney. And so let's say on the face of it, it doesn't identify anyone other than the officers, doesn't identify who the owners are. Got it? Let's just think that through. Then this report, this beneficial ownership report, is going to go in and name the incorporator. In other words, it's going to name the lawyer. It's going to name the non-owning officers, and then it's going to have to name the underlying non-officer shareholders. Okay. So this is going to feel very awkward, if not, upset the international markets, who are not going to like that this information is getting reported. And our audience needs to know that. So that's the main thing. The other thing is for companies that exist or all companies that exist as of January 1, in other words, that are in existence now or get formed before the end of the year, they will have until January 1, 2025. So they have a year to file these initial BOI reports. Okay?
Can you go back on explaining what BOI stands for? Beneficial
Ownership Information. Now, the way to think about that is when I say who the beneficial owner is, think of a company that has a trust as an owner, right? And the trust has beneficiaries, right? You could not get away with under this approach of identifying only the officer and saying, we're not going to tell you who really owns this company. So again, when I say movers and shakers, I'm saying that who are the primary decision makers? This is what our government in its FinCEN department wants to know. And where this is coming, we've had episodes about shell companies.
Correct.
And the shell companies are these labyrinth of shell companies where you can't tell where the money's flying all over the place and the government can't track it down. So from a tax standpoint, tax policy, obviously there's the desire to figure out who should be taxed on the money made. And if it's a shell company arrangement, they need to be able to track it down who the owners are. This reporting will supplement the ability of the Treasury Department to do what they need to do. The reports are now that the government is anticipating 32 million filings in next year alone. So that would be new filings, 32 million. We don't have the BOI form yet to know what it looks like, but as soon as we get that, we're obviously going to want to look at that and understand it. And the other thing that's kind of commentators are making is that, or comments that are being made, is that no one knows who will enforce the penalties or kind of what to expect on the level of penalties that will apply for non-compliance. So if you don't file this report, what's at stake? What's the risk? So that's kind of what we're looking at. So main thing is the breaking news is that there's now a 90-day period for new form companies starting 1/1/2024. And then for those that are already companies, they know that they have up to a year or until January 1, 2025 to file their initial reports. All right. So that's kind of where we're at. And it's going to get interesting for sure.
Can you explain to us Vincent again? And if you can spell it out.
FinCEN, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, CEN. So FINCEN in caps. So what everyone would be on the lookout for is FIN, FIN, CEN, all one word with the CEN part of it, CEN in caps. So you got a capital F, small IN, cap C, cap E, cap N. That's FinCEN, shortened version of the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, which our audience should be well aware of if you've had any kind of foreign bank accounts, had signature authority over foreign bank accounts. You know that there used to be a form called FBARs, which were needed to get filed to report those accounts that exist anywhere in the world. And then if that form has changed, the number, it's an actual form number, but FinCEN monitors those as well. So again, data gathering, transparency, that's kind of why the act is the Corporate Transparency Act. And so we'll monitor this going forward. One thing that to keep in mind, they're doing this reporting because it's an anti-money laundering initiative. So the idea is that they don't like these shell companies moving money and they can't trace it, find it, track it down.
And that's the whole reason.
Yep, for this law.
Okay, you heard him, folks. We'll be monitoring this, and we'll have it maybe in future.
Yeah, we'll have
episodes.
an update. We'll have an update certainly when the form comes out. We'll probably talk about the form.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about anything that's insightful to our audience about it. And of course, if our audience has any questions about it, we certainly can try and answer those questions if they call in. Main thing is it's going to affect all companies that are formed and all companies that exist. It'll be something that we'll hear a lot about next year.
Sounds good. So stay tuned. You can call Mr. T. Scott Tufts at 877-647-7887. That number is also available on a 407 number. You can reach him at stufts@pcc.law. That's STUFTS@pcc.law. You can also visit the website at privatecorporatecounsel.com. That's again, privatecorporatecounsel.com. You can also reach us or listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube. Thank you and have a wonderful day.